just letting you guys.
People, we have new people who are signing up. You'll be getting a letter.
Okay, all right.
All the
Sure.
mailing is going out the first week in July. You'll get a letter. There's a little increase in the membership, not much.
Because of the expensive.
There's gonna be a black hand
The
stamp
increase,
on it.
it's mainly because of the increase in the cost.
Yeah, well, I-
The
yeah.
state fee. That's it.
What's going on?
All that shot's it.
Yeah. they're
I
trying- they're
can't
trying to get-
figure out what the heck it is.
I can tell you it's less than in.
And as punishment, God opens the earth and he goes down. And this is, I think, the very first use of the expression, he should gain the air. Because he does, he's swallowed up by the earth. Yes, I'm sure we have all wished that on somebody at some point, which is a terrible wish.
Choking by the toes, you don't feel better.
That would be so great. Yes, thank you. So are you okay with that?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Okay, anyway, otherwise Korach is a Stam Shabbat, a Stam davening, plain ordinary Shabbos, which I kind of like. Because there are no.
Just letting you guys.
People, we have
That
Fix
happened
it.
last night.
It's shot this time.
There's a shadow minion somewhere in the universe. Okay, let's get started. Page 61. Moda on me. Moda ani lefanecha, V'kayam. Moda ani lefanecha, v'kayam. Shechazarta b'nishmati, v'chemla. Shechazarta b'nishmati, v'chemla. Shechazarta b'nishmati, v'chemla. Rabba emunatecha. And the bottom of 61. Atovu. Ohala done this in a while. 63, the top left. This is the prayer we offer God when we awaken in the morning or any time of the day, and we use the facility, and we're thankful that everything is operating the way it should. Okay, any reports? What do you do? Listen. Well, there's another prayer for that. I'd like to think so. Let's read it in English. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, who rules the universe, fashioning the human body in wisdom, creating openings, arteries, glands, and organs, marvelous in structure, intricate in design. Should but one of them fail to function by being blocked or opened, it would be impossible to exist. Praise to you, Adonai, healer of all flesh, sustaining our bodies in wondrous ways. See, that paraphrase makes me nuts. I'm taking it to the Hebrew, translating from the third line. Galui v'yadua, it is revealed and known before your glorious throne that if one of those ducts were open when it ought to be shut, or shut when it ought to be open, it would be impossible for us to sustain ourselves and stand in your presence. Blessed are you, Lord, who heals all flesh and works wonders. Now, isn't that better than a paraphrase? I like that. Good Shabbos phrase.
That's a nice translation.
Isn't that nice? That's the Hebrew. The Hebrew pulls no punches. The English, for some reason, is what we call mealy mouth. What is mealy mouth?
Really now?
Yes,
Sort of mumbling,
and also not saying
saying what you want,
the truth.
beating around the bush.
Yes, like a nevish, beating around the bush. Very good. Page 65. Please rise for the beautiful Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan tzefivina lachnim b'yamu b'layla. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzalmo. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisroel. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani ben chorin. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, bokeach ivrim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish sharuim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, rokeh kefukim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, rocha rezal amayim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa li'kotzarti. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, amechim etzadek gaber. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Osei Yisrael b'gvura. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Osei Yisrael b'tifara. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, anoten layo ekoah. Please be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Amavir Shenamenai, Utnama Me'afa Koi. Utenenu Ayam V'chol Yom, L'chein L'chesed Rachamim, V'ilhecho V'nei Korei V'tzigulin Chasadim Tovim. Baruch atah Adonai, Yomel Chasadim Tovim, V'yamo Yisroel. All right, we'll continue now with the Shema at the bottom of 66. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto Le'olam Amen. Continuing now with the Torah thoughts. And I'm going to try something else. This is Rebbe's and Hasidim, what they said and what they meant. which is always a good thing because some of these rebbes are so up there in the stratosphere, you don't always know what they're saying, which led to the expression, what was the rabbi's sermon about? It was about a half hour. You can tighten it up a little bit. Okay, so let's. Well, who's this? Let's take a look. Learn from everyone. This is Ben Soma. Ben Soma came to a bad end. He went insane after looking at the wonders of our days, the intimate details of the Torah. So, Ben Soma said, who is a wise person? One who learns from everyone. There are many people from whom we can learn. However, there are people who are so barren of knowledge, and some people whose code of morality may not be so wonderful. So how do we learn from the bad people? Anybody got ideas on learning from the bad people?
I'm not doing what they
Nothing
do.
to do with it.
Right, watch me and do exactly the opposite. Let's think of the Three Penny Opera. When I was 5 years old, my mother and father went to see the Three Penny Opera, which, as you know, is a tale written by Bertolt Brecht with the lyrics, and Kurt Weill, the son of a cantor from Germany, both of them from Germany, on the music. And it was all about ne'er-do-wells and beggars and people of ill repute and men and women of ill repute and so on and so forth. And she loved the music. She played it over and over again. She called it her Victrola. It was a Columbia record player with a very nice mahogany lid. I remember back in the days when furniture was a work of art. Nowadays, I don't know what it is, but it's mostly plastic. Anyway, so I'm 5 years old and I'm walking around singing about Mac the Knife and people doing illegal things and people doing immoral things. My mother thought maybe she should put away the Three Penny Opera for a while because it doesn't work for 5-year-olds to sing that kind of thing. Okay, but that's a fine example of an entire cast of people you should not imitate. Why does the Talmud make so broad a statement that a wise person will learn from everyone? Well, we know, for example, let's see, who did Jacob live with for 20 years? He came away with 2 wives, 12 sons, 1 daughter, and a partridge in a pear tree. His name started with an L, a Lamed, and it had a B or a V in it. Yes, very good. Lavan. Lavan ha'arami. Lavan the Aramean. He was a terrible person. He was a no-goodnik. He cheated, he lied, he stole, and yet, through some machination of facts, he made it to the top of the political tree in his town. Who would have thought? Okay, so anyway, when he was on his way back to his brother Esau, that's another piece of work right there, he sent him a note. He said, I have lived with Lavan for 20 years, and I still observed all the mitzvot. I did not learn his evil ways. So a Hasidic Rebbe said, it is not characteristic of the humble patriarch Jacob, I don't think he was so humble, to be vain. Why did Jacob boast that while he was living with Lavan, he still observed the mitzvot? Anyone on this one?
Pat himself on the back.
Pat himself on the back. There you go. What else? Anybody else? It's kind of like when you were a kid and the teacher had to step out of the classroom for a couple of minutes. And whom did the teacher appoint? A stooge, a monitor. Yeah, a stooge.
The goody two shoes.
Yeah, right. And what did the goody two shoes immediately do as soon as the teacher left? He said, I'm making a list. And they wrote bad and good. And if you were good, you got on the good list. If you were bad, you went on the bad list. It was very raucous. Nowadays, it's not like that at all, because all the kids whip out their phones and play with them very quietly until the teacher gets back. So this is either an improvement or not. Okay. So this Hasidic Rebbe said, Jacob was not boasting. God forbid you should take a major patriarch of the Torah and make him a boaster. On the contrary, Jacob was castigating himself. Are Jews good at castigating themselves?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, yes, indeed. If there was a gold medal in castigation, we would get.
We set aside time in the day for that.
Yes, yes. And sometimes you could just go for a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week thing. Okay. So what happened was, this is how the Rebbe explains it. he says it's not our Rebbe, and it's not the Rebbe who's currently extant. This is a Rebbe from years ago. He said, I saw how Lavan lived his life. He was passionate in committing sins. I tried to have similar passion in doing mitzvot. If Lavan could invest himself so thoroughly in such evil, then I should do the opposite. I should invest myself in doing mitzvot. So I learned from Lavan that you should be totally absorbed in what you do. So you see, it is possible to learn from a wicked person. Okay, and it's either good or bad. We have so many examples in public life today. So anyway, I'm going to drop down there. I know I'm not. I kind of waved as I went by.
Right.
There we go. Okay. There was a New Yorker cartoon many years ago, Roman, where the priest is up in the pulpit and he says, "Here endeth the weekly news report." I don't do that. Okay. All right, let's do the bottom of page 70. Let's open up on Shebon Nebeta Migdash B'mehera B'yameinu V'tein Chelkeinu Torah Tefa Shebon Nebeta Migdash B'mehera B'yameinu V'tein Chelkeinu Torah Tefa Shebon Nebeta Migdash Mera B'yameinu, V'tzeit Elkeinu, V'torah Tefa. Shebon Nebet HaMikdash, Mera B'yameinu, V'tzeit Elkeinu, V'torah Tefa. Tishamna V'chavir Achmelam, U'chashanim, Adno. And here we have the Kaddish Rabbanan, all please rise, having learned the Apostle Torah. Yittadal v'yittadash le'rabah.
Amen.
Yom Adi brach Yerusei v'yom li'et ma'udei. V'chayei chol v'yimei chol v'chayei chol Beit Yisroel. Agalo b'zman kori v'yivru amen. Ye'esh mei rabah v'korah v'yolam u'mei l'maikah. V'korah, v'yishkelah, v'po'ar, v'tromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitazar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shrei l'kudish v'yitlu, v'elam v'yikol v'yirchata v'shirata, tush v'chata v'nechemata, v'abiran v'yallah v'yimru, amen. Al Yisrael, v'al Rabbanan, v'al Talmidehon, v'al kol Talmidehon, v'al kol man v'yaskin v'yoraita, Idiatraha Dame, the Diva Falatar Viatar, Yehelahon, Lachon, Shlamarava, Tina Lachista Varahamin, Ayanarit, Mizar Raviva, who for Kadam and Kadam Abuhon, Shmaya Vivu, hey, Shalamar Rabba Shemaya. I am talking about the Israel Vivu, hey. Ose Shalom Dimramar, who be Asma Yase Shalom. Please be seated, page 72. Ayom Yom Shabbat Kodesh, Ayom Omrim, Veit HaMikdash, Uzmor Shir, Yom HaShabbat. And the last four lines on 72. Hello, you is Continuing now. On page 82 is the mourner's cottage. Mourners, please rise. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah. Amen. Yom Adi Brach Hirutei V'yam Nid Achutei. Ayechon Uv'yamechon V'chayei D'chol Beit Yisrael. Agalo B'zman Kariv V'yimuk. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah. Yitporach V'yishlach V'yipoar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh. Yitadar V'yitalev V'yitalal Shemei D'Kudesha V'Richu. The Elam and Chata B'Shirata, Tushbechata V'Nechamata, Daviram B'Alma V'Yimru, Amen. Yehei Shalama Rabba Min Shemaya, L'chaim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Yimru, Amen. Oseh Shalom V'Mromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael, V'Al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, V'Yimru, Amen. Page 83 is the Brosh Yamar. Oh, would you like to open the ark?
Baruch Shema
Baruch She'amar Olam Baruch Oseh Bereshit Baruch Omer Yosef Baruch Moshe Umekayim Baruch Merachem Al Haaretz Baruch Merachem Al Habriot Baruch Mishalem Tzadkot Lireah Baruch Elohai Yekayam Lanetzah Baruch Odeh Umatzil Baruch Shemot Baruch HaTorah V'Cholom Baruch B'Chei Olamim Shelach V'Shabbat V'Poradeh Shmo HaGadol Baruch HaTorah Adonai Melech Miulal Batishpacho 96. Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha, O Yalu Rosecha, Ashrei Anshe Kachalo, Ashrei Anshe Adonai Elohim, Tila L'David. Reading silently. Ilatnei daber pi b'vorech avasa shegachare lam boed. Ana yevorem yom ne'atov yevolah. Hallelujah. Page 100. Midway down. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, also. Hallelujah, hallelujah, take a shofar. Hallelujah, Lord. Hallelujah, hallelujah, in view of. Hallelujah, hallelujah, it's still salvation. Hallelujah, it's still salvation. Oh, Shabbat, hallelujah. Please rise. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen be your name. Being silent to what I was doing. you haven't yet finished this section of davening, please continue. Otherwise, I'm on page 103 in the English. Adonai seek you, refuge, rock divine. I mourn the prayers I offer, those at evening time. I tremble in your awesome presence and right. For my deepest secrets lie stripped before your sight. My tongue, what can it say? My heart, what can it do? What is my strength? What is my spirit too? But should music be sweet to you in mortality, your praises will I sing, so long as breath in me. 104. Nishmat Kodai, Yoreh Keshimai, Elohim. Page 105, last two lines of the top paragraph. David Barthi Nafshi et Aronai, V'chol Kravai et Shem Kodsho, Shochen Ad Marom, V'kadosh Shemo, Yishrim Gitalav, U'devrei Tzadikim Tikara, U'vilshon Chasidim, Yitroman, U'vikerev, Yidoshim, Yikadash, Makelot, Vivevot, Amor Beit Yisroel, V'chein Chovat Kol HaYetzurim, V'fanecha, Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, V'hodot, V'halel, V'shabach, V'foer, V'omen L'adel V'orech V'yalei, V'lekales, Al Kol Divrei Shira V'tishbachot, David Ben Yishai Avdecha, V'shitecha. 106. Yishtabach Shemcha Noad Malkein. Brachot v'odot me'atah v'yarolam. Baruch atah Adonai el melech Adon Batishbachot el ha'odot Adonai Niflaos Er Yishirei Zimra Melech Eolamim. Please rise. I'll be a Kadash Rabba Madi Brahute Yamlir Mahute V'chayef On of Yom Echon V'chayef V'chol HaBeit Yisroel Yitzhak Bari Imeru Amen. Birchata b'shirata u'shbechata b'nefemata yamira yalema imeru. 107, we bow towards the ark. Samu et Adonai Hamivora. Adonai, Amivora, Be seated. Shalom, and the last three lines on 107. Ameti 108. Elohim Alamasi Ora Biko Neshama Open to Maleo Amen. God, I have not forgotten that darkness fall. On their cover, they put me charge, they so. Blessed the rock on me, they live all. So in the Lord, Shabbat and it's all and on, living out the scale. Oh, Akura, not on him, the Lord motion, the lazy, don't feed him no God, no as he don't hold on. Satan, Sasin Livoam, oh, Simbi, more so. Father, not in so we know the same Mafuto, or Allah Shemesh, I Israel, Vedi, Suratana, Sheva, no Nimbo, Siva, Maharom. Page 109. Goel Sheshvat Mikamasim Gil Shalom Peace of the Amore Orsha Siti Palu Paselo. Page 110. To Rav, to the Enumakin of Galeno, Lore Kedoshin, Ishtaba, Shimba, this is the last three lines of the top paragraph on 110. Mekabelim Alehem Ol Malchut Shamayim Zemizeh Enoknim Rishut Zelazeh V'Haktish Liotzram V'Nachat Ruach V'Safav Rav V'Nima V'Yusha Kulam Ke'achad Onim B'Yomrim B'Yira Kadosh 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 Adonai Tzvaot V'Lo on him the fire Kodesh, Rahash Gadol Nasim Yumat Srafim, Yumatam the Shablim Biyomri, or well Baruch, Imo Detain. And the last three lines on 110. Or Hadash, Altsian Tair, or Hadash, Altsian Tair, or Hadash, Altsian Tair, or Hadash, Altsian Tair, is Kekulanu, Ehera, Theoro, is Kekulanu, Ehera, Theoro, Baruch Atah, Yatzerabio,
Amen.
Page 111. This is the second paragraph on 111, the top line, the ha'er einenu. Enlighten our eyes with Torah, and well, Dabe comes from the root devek, which means glue. Glue our hearts to your mitzvot. Okay, make our hearts adhere to your mitzvot. I like glue. I mean, I don't like glue, but it's a good image. And the last line, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu Yisrael, Yahweh 112, Shema, Shema Yisrael, Adonai, Baruch Shem Malchuto Leolam Moed Ya'arto Etadonai Elohecha V'Marachma V'Shelom Reading silently the paragraph at the bottom of 112. Gather up your tzitziot if you're wearing the talit. Shamayim al haaretz, page 113. Vayomer Adonai Moshe Lemor, Da'aseh Yisrael, Yamartana Yidasu Lahem Tzitzit, Al Konveden Dotam Inadu Al Tzitzit, Akanat Titil Tefelet Hayalachem Tzitzit Britemoto Ustartem Et Kol Mitzvot Tanoi Yasitemoto Bilotatu Ashkerat Zorim Lema Yasitem Tire, the Emberoshim, I don't know the way Seat, middle paragraph, last two lines. This rock and succeeds, continuing on page 114. Yellow, yon, Arachumevora, Moshe Ubnei Israel, Lechanu, Ushira, Shira, Isimcha Rabba, Yameru, Please, Adonai, Shalom, Page 115B. I sit on high to Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohim, 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 Yitzhak, Elohim, Yaakov, Elohim, Sarah, Elohim, Rivka, Elohim, Leah, Elohim, Rahel, maybe go out and then the man should all be up. Melech on Sarah, okay, Yoshia, Adonai, Morgan Abraham, Sarah, Atagi Bor, Amadunai, Ephraim Mitzim, Atorah, Bereshia, Mori Ratzal, Echal El Chaim, Bechesed, Ephraim Mitzim, Berachim, Somech Elohim, Berachim, Elohim, U'Amachir Asukri, U'Echayim, and so the shade of fire, the how you go, who meet of Mela, and we ask me of issue. Yamanato Hayo Metin. Baruch atah Adonai, Amen. 116. Yeshem Paviolam, Yeshem Shmatishim Oto B'Shmei Uvayad Nevi'em, Karos Elte, Yamar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tziva'ot, V'lo, Tziva'ot. Az Rash Gadol, Adir Bechazak, Mashmim Kol, Utasim Nimatzvoti, Timatam, Baruch Yomei. Om Kamakeru, Tofi Avatim Lochalenu, Imachapim, Hana, Minva, Tzaitim Lochatzion, Vikarab Yameinu, Liolam Boed, Tishko, Tizatam, Tizadash, Of Yerushalayim, Ayze David, Shiach Tzikefa, Lord, Lord, the Allah, I see you, the Armadanaki Gadlafa, Pune, Safin, Safin, the Shafan, Akish, all Amy, you know, which they love Boed, the El Melaka, the Shot, Aru. I don't know. Please continue silently to the end of the Hamidah, which is 120. At which you're going to be seated.
Oh, it should be more.
Just checking on the total.
Still there?
Full caught it. Is the Torah still there? Well, we have backup.
You said we're checking on it.
I called for backup.
Still there.
Yeah. One never knows. Okay, always something happening at temperature. All right, page 138, we have a full Kaddish here. Oh, thank you. You're gonna have the Aliyah. That's very nice, thank you. I see the cheese stands alone, the rabbi gets number 6. Okay, it's all right. It Gadali Kadashim Le Rabbi. Yalmad Yivrach and Utevim Me'et Makutei, the Chai Chol, the Chol, the Chai, the Chol, Beit Yisrael, Akala this man for being through Amen. Yeshua Rabbeinu. Bishabah, before Vitrabam Bitnase, it's a dark, it's a leg, it's a loud, Shmere Kudisha, Elam and Kobachata, Bashirata, Mishpata, Rahamata, Damiran Bialmalim, Amen. About slow tone of Uton, the Israel, the Damabuhundi, Bishmaya, Bimbru, Amen. Shalama Rabba Min Shemaya, the Chaim Aleva Israel, Bimbru, Amen. Who says Shalom in Roma? Who shall say Shalom? Israel, Bimbru. Shalom, Shalom. Glad to see. Shalom. Shalom Aleinu, Ya'akol Yisrael, Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ya'akol Yisrael, Ya'akol Yoshvei Tevel, Imru Amen. All right, the service for Hotzot HaSefer, taking out the Torah, please rise. As I said, this is Shabbat Parshat Torah, one of the more exciting episodes in the Torah, whether it happened or not, something happened. Okay, 139. I'm for you at the box. Deliver the Kalama, Israel, let us all find Delisha. Set? Okay. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Elohim, Adonai Elohim, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Elohim, Echad Eloheinu, Adoneinu, Adon Shemo. Echad Eloheinu, Adoneinu, Adon Shemo. Bow towards the ark. Adlula Denahiti, Veronim Shemo Yah. So Torah's return to the Bela. You may be seated. Yashatoah. Thank you very much. Torah portion is Korah, and those of you who read my little essay in the bulletin would see that I had some fun, not with him necessarily, well, with him, but also his son, his imaginary son, Yitzhar ben Korah. See, the father is Korah and Yitzhar, and Yitzhar literally means gives light, but the kind of light that Korah is, we would say, that's it. What did I say? Okay. Is as Milton says in Paradise Lost, it is the profoundest darkness. No, that's fine. He's not a nice person. I'm sure you've met people like this. He's a climber. He's the kind of guy, he pushes people out of the way. Well, frankly, much as Jacob did himself. But Korah is long after Jacob. He's a Levite. And on the face of it, he has a very valid argument against Moses. He goes up against Moses in a public place. The better to embarrass him, and says, "You take too much upon yourselves, sons of Levi, because everyone in the congregation is holy, and the Spirit of God rests upon them. Why, therefore, do you raise yourself up above the Lord's congregation?" And Moses, he's really kind of beat at this point. Talk about overwork. He's a workaholic, as we know, and he's worn out totally. And he's not necessarily the oldest Israelite, but he's getting up there. And as soon as Moses hears all these vituperative accusations, he falls on his face. I'm sure all of us have had days when we felt it would be better to fall on our faces, but you can't. What is that expression? Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, start all over again. Another problem is that Moses has built this wall around himself. He doesn't let anybody help him, despite the good advice that his father-in-law Jethro gave him months and years ago. That is, appoint sub-judges and sub-judges, judges of 50s, judges of 20s, judges of 10s, And if they can't get it past the judges of tens, then let them bring the problem, the legal problem to you. You'll talk to God and everything will be straightened out. I don't know, Moses is going through some weird stuff here at this point. Any comments about poor old Mo? My Aunt Beth had an uncle Moe, let him rest in peace. He worked in nightclubs. He played the piano.
I did too.
Oh, see, what would we do with that Uncle Moe? And he got up there. He came to visit us once in Aunt Beth's mother's apartment. They had this little electric organ. So many people had electric organs in the 60s and 70s. And he sat down, he made that little tiny electric organ sound like a Steinway. I gotta say that. He was a very talented man. But that was probably the only thing good about him. I didn't know much, but the stuff I heard wasn't good. See, I shouldn't have done that. What is that? That's Lashon Hara. Okay, now we're going to talk about that. So Korach should not have accused Moses, but that's what you do. You know, take no prisoners. This is it. I want that job. I want that candidacy. I'll say whatever it takes. So anyway, he accuses Moses of vanity. And we know from the Torah text, Moshe ish anav haya v'chol am Yisrael. Moses was the humblest, absolutely humblest man in all of Israel, which reminds me of a story. And of course, we're getting close to Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And what happens is that you have the temple personnel. You have the rabbi, you have the cantor, and you have the shamus. The shamus, as we've said before, is the gopher. He collects the books, he collects the charity coins, he arranges the tables, stuff like that. And what happens is it's Yom Kippur Day, and all of the congregation is gathered in the shul, and the cantor is holding forth and singing with all of his might, and all has inspiration. And he stands before God and he stretches his arms very wise. Oh God, he says, you don't have to listen to my prayers, for I am nothing. I am less than nothing. And the rabbi thinks, oh, that's pretty good. So the rabbi starts calling out, God, do not pay attention to my prayers, for I myself am nothing. I am nothing of nothing. I am the quintessence of nothingness. And then the little shamus, you know, the gopher, go for the car, go for my suit. The humblest guy on the temple staff, he starts calling out too, oh God, I too am nothing. Please God, do not pay attention to me. I am nothing. And the rabbi nudges the cantor and says, look who thinks he's a nothing. So, all right. So meanwhile, back to Korach. Korach is not that kind of guy. Korach wants the whole world to know what a roast uranium he is, but he's not. And this, interestingly, long before Jews invented psychology, who handled the counseling among the Jewish people? The rabbi. There you go. And that is the case here. And not just any rabbi. This is the Baal Shem Tov, the master of the good name. Now, being a Baal Shem, meaning a master of God's name, was a very powerful cure back in the day. Because did they have antibiotics? No. Did they have Band-Aids? No. Did they have nurses they could call upon to make the baby okay, as opposed to, you know, God knows doing whatever? They used to take spider web, some dirt, and mix them together and tie that on your wound. Yeah, that healed you really good. They didn't know. They had no idea what germs. If people had money, they would go to a party at somebody's house, and they would stand and gaze with great interest at a giant louse that was making its way up their hostess's neck on its way into her wig. All right, let's get back to this. So the Baal Shem Tov comes along, and he, of course, has a very radical idea. In those days, you could only study Torah if you yourself were rich, or if your father-in-law was well fixed, so that he would set your wife up in business, and you could sit and study Torah all day. I already shared with you my father's opinion of these people. It wasn't favorable. But the Baal Shem Tov came along and said, you don't have to study Torah, which is something radical. I mean, he himself was very learned, but he wasn't talking to the intelligentsia. He wasn't talking to the rich folk. He was talking to the poor people who actually had to work for a living. He would talk to the tinsmiths and the cobblers and the carpenters and so on, and give them some reason for living. He would say, it doesn't matter how much Torah you know as long as you are aware that God loves you and God wants you to succeed. But the Baal Shem Tov is also a shtickle psychologist, because he said, if you look at another human being and you find fault with that human being, you're not finding fault with them, you're finding fault with yourself. It's a psychological phenomenon known as projection, where we take the bad traits from ourselves and we project them on other people. They may not be anything that you think they are, but it's you. You know, you look at the mirror and you see yourself. Anyway, he says the way you react to your perception of another person's flaws will have a bearing on your own situation. The divine system of justice allows one to pass judgment on oneself. Now, many of us are aware of that famous episode in which David is sitting in judgment on the people of Israel, and anybody who has a law dispute comes to see him, and he sees in the back there are two women who don't look like they like each other very much. Do we know this story? Anybody know this story?
No.
Oh, okay, great. Anyway, what happens is the two women come before him, and one of them says to the other, Your Majesty, this woman and I are neighbors, and she recently gave birth to a baby. And the other woman stole the baby and said it's her baby. And actually, this isn't David, it's Solomon. That's all these guys. All these. It's not the name. David was the one who wrote the book on this. Yeah, but here, I know that. Oh, okay. Wrong incident. Well, it doesn't matter. All right, I'll lose the baby. Let's try again. What happens is that David went up on his roof one evening and he looked across to his neighbor. In those days, all the roofs.
You get into trouble every time you go up on.
Yes, so you should never go up on the roof, in spite of the song.
On the roof.
All right. This song. Okay, he goes up and he looks across, and the most beautiful woman he has ever seen is taking a bath on the roof. Well, she obviously has issues, but he falls absolutely in love with her, and he has one of his servants go over and say, ma'am, your king would like a private audience with you. And they have that private audience. And he is committing, is he committing? Adultery. And when we taught the 10 Commandments to the kids in Hebrew school, the teacher said to me, Rabbi, how do I teach them about adultery? They're only 8. And I said, well, tell them that's something adults do. So anyway, he falls in love with her, and she is the wife of Uriah Hachiti, Uriah the Hittite. And David and his general Yoav arrange for Uriah to be KIA, killed in action, poor fellow, in defense of king and country. And he's not even an Israelite, he's a Hittite. He cast in his lot with the Israelites. And David goes in to comfort Bathsheba, since she's now a widow. And then they get married and everything's fine. Everything is not fine. But anyway, what happens is that Nathan the prophet comes to see David. And he says, Your Majesty, I have a story to tell you. Once there was a rich man. He had flocks, he had sheep, he had goats, he had camels, he had horses, he had donkeys, he had anything you could possibly want. And next door to him was the poor man who had a couple of kids, and they kept a little lamb as a pet. And the children loved the lamb, and they treated it like it was, their beloved friend. And then the rich man was going to have a special party for his friends. So did he take one of his own flocks with the goats and the sheep and so on, and this and that? He says, no, he stole the lamb from the poor man. What should be done to this man? And David gets in high dudgeon, and he stands up and he points at nothing in particular, the way kings do. And he says, the rich man should, he's lucky I'm not killing him, I'm not executing him. The rich man should give 500 sheep to pay back the poor man. And Nathan points and says, thou art the man. And you are the one who killed Uriah and stole his wife. And now this curse is going to rest upon him. Okay? Now, that isn't exactly a projection, but it's pretty close. We don't know what kind of issues Nathan the prophet had. I read a novel about David's life, and it was told by Nathan the prophet. I've always held Nathan in pretty high esteem because he's a straight shooter, and he's the only prophet, well, not the only one. He's one of the only prophets who is able to, pardon me, tell off the king, keep the king in line, make sure that the king is following Torah. But in any case, what we're talking about here is a situation where if you look at somebody else and you see that they have faults, you may very possibly be projecting your own faults upon them. Okay? Shabbat Shalom and Shabbos. I'm sorry for mistaking David for Solomon. Solomon was tall. So
They were related.
yes,
Yes,
they
they
were
were.
very close. Yes, indeed. Solomon had to go through a lot to become.
Put on your resume.
Yazar again, Yeshua, Kol Chosim Bovan Amar, Amen. Akol Hokadin, to the blood of Torah, Vanit Kirvi, Kamod Giveret Yehudit. This Sarah, Rishona, Barashanaton, Mesravikushato. Yatimavikim, I am Kulfem, Ayo. Good. Page 638. 16. Chapter 16, verse 1.
That's not in line. And I time on new estimate, so that's not annoying, no saying how small.
Amen. Vayikach Korach ben Yitzhar ben Kehat ben Levi, Vidatan Babiram ben Eliab, Bion ben Pelet ben Eruven, Vayakumu lefnei Moshe, Yanashim libnei Israel, Chamishim Matayim Nesiei Eda, Ru'ei Moed, Anshe Shem, Vayikahalu, Al Osher Yal Aron, Vayamru Alehem, Rav lachem ki kol ha'eda, kulam kedoshim uv'tocham Adonai, umadu atitnasu al kahal Adonai.
Away, meaning that was how long, but they're not, you are out in that, so not really, or long, not time to so pain, but what I try to know, no pain, how tomorrow.
Yamod Reb Yitzchak, Yeshaya, and Yeshaya, Alevi, Zisel, Sheni. Shema.
Baruch Hu es Adonai HaMavorach, Baruch Adonai Moed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bocha bonu mikol ha'amim, v'nosam lanu et toraso, Baruch Atah Adonai, Nosein HaTorah.
Amen. Vayishma Moshe vayipol al panav vayedaber el Korach el kol adato lemor v'boker v'yeda Adonai et asher lo the etakadosh vikriv elav et asher yivkarbo yakriv elav sot asu la kefulachem maftot torat bechol adato.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emes v'chayei olam l'tavos ofeinu. Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Amor Geveret Esther Shulamit Bat Harav Eliyahu HaKohen V'Gitlu Shlishi.
Baruch Adonai Hambara. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher baruch Adonai Mikol Lanu Torah. So Baruch Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen. Utnu Bahen Esh V'Simi Alehem Ketoret Lifnei Adonai Machar. Vaya Ha'ish Asher Yivchar Adonai Hu HaKadosh Rav Lachem B'nei Levi Vayomer Moshe el Korach Shemuna B'nei Levi Hama'at Mikem Ki Hivdil Elohei Yisroel Etchem Me'adat Yisroel Lakriv Etchem Elav Lavod Et Avodat Mishkan Vayav Lamod B'fnei Ha'edah L'sharatam.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emes v'chayei olam l'tavos ofeinu. Baruch Adonai notein haTorah.
Amor Geveret Alam Aya People Father
Eunice and
this and Lord the
our house of you and our I'm sure that
Amen. Vaya prevod Chabet Kolachecha B'nei Levi Ifa Ubikashtem Gam Kehuna Lachen Ata V'chol Adakta Hanoadim Al Adonai Yaron Bahu Italonu Alav Vayishlach Moshe Lekro Ledratan Ulaviram B'nei Eliyav Vayomru Lo Naleh. Amen. Amishi number 5. Yamot Tzvi Yehuda and Yitzhak Isaac Mariaso Amishi Amiat. Amen. Amiat Yelitanu Meretz Avat Chalav U'Dvash Lamitenu Lamidbar Itishtarer Aleinu Lamishtarer Aflo El Eretz Zavat Chalav U'Dvash Evitanu Batiten Lanu Nachala Sadeh Vacherem Ha'enei Hanachim Hahem Tenaker Lo Le'aleh Vayichar Moshe miyod vayomer el Adonai al teifen el minchatam lo chamor echad nehem nasati velo hariota et achad mehem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher nosan lanu Torah emes, v'chayei olam v'tov v'tzafenu. Baruch atah Adonai Nozei HaTorah.
Amen. Wow. For the sixth Aliyah, doing 16, 17, 18, and 19. Okay, who gets the bonus first? Oh, sorry. Bravo, Divere, Sonia Bach, Roya, O, Eshen, Hato, Ato, and Hani. Yishin. Amen. Vayomer Moshe el Korach, Ata v'chol adatcha hayu lifnei Adonai, Ata v'heim v'Aaron machar ukechu ish machtato, v'notatam aleihem ketoret, hikraftem lifnei Adonai ish machtato, Amishimu matayim mitachat, v'ata v'Aaron ish machtato, v'ayekhu ish machtoto, Vayichnu alehem esh vayasimu alehem ketoret vayamdu petach ohel moed Moshe Yaron vayakel alehem orach et kol heda el petach ohel moed vayira kevod Adonai el kol ha'eda. Shishi. All right, since it's Shishi, we're going to cover the Torah with the Dame Gavra and do the Mishabera for the Cholim, folks who are not well. And I will read the list for Refuah Shlema, and then afterwards we can collect names from the congregation. Jeff Stern, Refuah Shlema, Jack Backelman, Refuah Shlema, Murray Lichtenstein, Refuah Shlema, Inez Pasher, Refuah Shlema, Norma Fogel, Refuah Shlema, Baby Eli Jacob, Refuah Shlema, David Hershkowitz, Refuah Shlema, Lori Rose, Refuah Shlema, Fortune Cremante, Refuah Shlema, and Karen Monat, Refuah Shlema. Lauren Lobel, Refuah Shlema. Yes. Refuah Shlema. Refuah Shlema. Refuah Shlema. Sorry. Refuah Shlema. Molly. Robert Wallace. Refuah Shlema. Refuah Shlema. Molly Silver. Refuah Shlema. Anyone else? I think black and all the people on my phone. Refuah Shlema. Yes. Refuah Shlema. Shabbat Kodesh, Nomar Amen. Right, we'll hold up the thing over. All right, number 7. Oh, that's me. Okay, all right, so please don't leave because you're off yet. Okay? Very scientific Jewish term. All right, you have to call me. Yamor, Yamor, Orav, I am Tony. Then Yisrael, Zelig, the echo. All right. Talmud, Geveret Anasura, Ata from Sinfaporo, the Entalea. To be. Asher Bochavanu Mikol Amim, Natan Lanu et Torato, Aru Tata, Nainoten Torah.
Amen.
And God said to Moses and Aaron, separate yourselves from this group, and I will destroy them in an instant. And they fell upon their faces, and they said to the God of the winds and all flesh, that this man has sinned, and why are you attacking the whole congregation? Not very lucky. Thank you, sir. Please rise once again, cover the Torah with the Ben Gavra. Yet Karavi Karashim de Rabba. Adi Brak the Rute, Vidli Mafote, the Haye Pawan of the Hall of a High, the whole Beit Israel, the love is my Pavilion, Ru. The dog is a little long, Schmidt, Amen. Kova Tata Vishirata, Vata Rahmata, Amir Vyamba, Amen. Please be seated. Yabod Hamafir. Mafir. I guess it's me by default. Yeah. Wow. Good. But am I allowed to follow myself? You're not supposed to follow parents after children, brothers or sisters in succession. Okay. Now this is curious. If Paul takes the aliyah, but I do the maftir. That's allowed. Really okay? Come on, Paul, you're gonna be my lucky rabbit spot.
He's mine too.
You've done many things in the life. Let's see where we go. Shabbos for the baby. Oh, no. He hasn't had one. Oh, you can. I don't know. Yeah, that's how you That's it. And I thought about him before Shabbos. Oh, yeah, that's good. Two, three, four, five, six. Oh, God, see, it works all the time. It works. Just so you know, if you ever wrote in a Torah, use the Malcolm rule. Your average parsha, your average Torah portion is either 5 or 6 columns. Okay, never going to fail. Yamo, wait, that parents could have Usher Meyer, Ilana, Amaftir. Amen. Diamart alehem varim chemet helbo mimenu v'neshav l'levim. Tituat koren v'tituat yakev. Yachaltem oto b'chol makom. Ata avtem ubeitchem. Yisacharhu lachem chalav avodatchem b'yoel moed. V'lo tis'u alav chet. Harimchem et helbo. Mimenu bet kodshe b'nei Yisrael. Lo techalu v'lo talu. Thank you for stepping in. Lifting and tying. Erwin is left. Yes, yes, indeed.
He used to be soccer, I should say.
All right, yeah.
Long
You look good.
gone, long gone.
Okay, Yamol, Rabbi Yitzchak, and
Yishai Halevi.
Shaya Halevi,
Bezis.
Ezisol, Ingeveret, Rachel Fega, Bat Viva Chasha, Yisrael, Al Hagba, Al Aklila. Please rise as the Torah is lifted. Amen. It's Torah coming into children. Please remain standing to the cover of the Torah. Hold on. 651.
Yeah. You know,
Yes, the Haftorah for this Shabbat is really nice, very dramatic. It's on page 649 in the Chumash. 649, yes, sir. You want to look? And what happens here is the Israelites are making trouble. How unusual. They want to be like everybody else. God has been supplying them with a steady stream of charismatic leaders, meaning that if the Israelites are living their lives and minding their business, then all of a sudden, one of the foreign nations from Canaan, elsewhere, the Amalekites, the Hittites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, and so on, will come upon them and attack them. And it seems as though, don't you have days where you feel bad because everyone else is in the Iron Age and you're still in the Bronze Age? I know this happens to me. And that's exactly what happened to the Israelites. If you're going into battle, you don't want a bronze sword. It bends, it creaks, it falls apart and the blade snaps off. And the Philistines in particular were very, very up with it as far as iron technology. Supposedly, the Philistines, when they came to town, would kidnap or entice all of the blacksmiths, who were probably the highest rung of the technological ladder in those days. And so the Israelites were really up a tree. Furthermore, all these other nations had mercenaries, they had paid troops. The Israelites were more the Cincinnatus model, which is, oh, here come the Philistines. Let's go call the neighborhood and we can get ourselves together. Oh, and bring your plow. What? You know, if you hurt somebody, you're going to need something sharp and pointy, or you need something that is long and you can whack them on the head. It was I know we say, oh, the Hebrew Bible is so bloody. Excuse me? The Israelites did not have atomic weapons, which can kill every man, woman, child, animal on this planet 7 times over. But I digress. So the Israelites say, we need a king. We need a king mostly to be a steady hand on the helm and judge us and be learned in Torah and be able to bring us to victory over our enemies round about. So Samuel says, okay, I got a guy for you. And he chooses Saul. Saul is easily the worst choice possible. Why did Samuel choose Saul? Any thoughts?
He had a mental problem.
He did. He was bipolar
That's that called.
long before lithium. Oh, yes. Yes. Anyway, because he was controllable. Because have you ever been in a situation where the boss doesn't want to give up the reins of power? Okay, when I went to Fayetteville, North Carolina, I had a rabbi emeritus. They used to call him the emeritus, like a disease. And he was physically ill, and his wife was not doing too well either. But he was still the top dog. He was it. And he made my life a you know what for quite some time. Before his wife passed away, let her rest in peace. Everybody liked the wife. And he fell in love with a college professor who came to town. And she said, Henry, I got to get you out of here. So she spirited him away, which was very good for everybody involved, me especially. And then rabbinic life actually began. So in this particular case, Samuel chooses Saul. Saul's a nice guy. He's a warrior, but he wants everybody to like him, which is not a good thing. And he has no control of the troops. They do whatever they want under his leadership. And plus, he's got this mental illness that is incurable. The only thing that will cure him, of course, is when his soon-to-be son-in-law, David, plays the harp. And so that's a weird love-hate thing, because on the one hand, David can soothe him, but on the other hand, he's jealous because he's pretty sure David's going to take over the kingdom after him, which is exactly what happens. He himself has a son, Jonathan, and there's some stuff going on between Jonathan and David, which they didn't acknowledge for many centuries. Okay? So Samuel gathers the people in Gilgal, which is a wonderful name for a place. Gilgal means rolled. It's the same root as wheel, because the leadership of Israel will pass from Samuel to Saul, and then eventually to David. And Samuel says, I have served you as a Kohen, as a priest in the sanctuary. It's not the temple yet. It's still the portable sanctuary, but they parked it in a more convenient place, Shiloh, it was called. And his sons went into the business also, but his sons were corrupt. When the people were offering sacrifices, they would have the meat boiling in a pot, and the Kohen, his son, Samuel's son, would come along and say, I'm going to take this 2-tined fork, I'm going to poke it in here, I'm going to pick out a piece I like. And the guy would say, the sacrificer would say, can I just offer my sacrifice first? No, I'm hungry, it's time for lunch, I'm getting myself some flanken. So isn't that boiled beef? Oh, there you go, that's where it came from. And these two come to a bad end, but eventually Samuel makes it rain and thunder, and he tries to tell the people to behave themselves, but he kind of knows it's a lost cause, and that's how the episode ends. So it just shows it's not really a rebellion, but it's the seeds of rebellion, where the people are not going to listen to Saul, they're going to fail to conquer the Philistines. It's very dramatic stuff. I love this stuff because it's human beings. doing what human beings do. They may be doing it, sorry?
The human failure, that's
Right, and they may be doing it in the shadow of God, but it doesn't take away any of their humanity. Okay, I'm going to, yes, sir.
is a Korah, the only non-Jewish person that's got.
Well, he's a Levite, he's not,
Oh, he is?
he's Unzer.
Yeah, almost like their own.
No, you're okay, because Jews make the best anti-Semites. If you think about it historically.
I wasn't saying that it was necessary, I just thought there was one person that got. I told her, named after them, it's not.
No, that's Jephthah. Yitro. Yes, very good. Anyone else? Erwin, something?
I'm listening closely.
All right,
Enjoying your spiel.
thank you. This is, well, I'm done, and this will be on the fine. Okay,
I studied carefully.
50 multiple choice and 2 essays. Asher Bachar Ilvim Tovim Ratsav Direhem Anemarim Behemet Baruch Atah Adonai Abofer Batorah Moshe Abdo Yisrael Amo Uvendier Poemet Otzedek. Let's I'm going to take it from verse 12, Eser Psukim, 10 verses, and I'll do it to the end. Atiru ki nachash melech Amon ba'alechem Vatomru li lo ki melech lo Aleinu Adonai Elohechem Malkechem Viatam Hine HaMelech Asher Bechartem Asher She'altem Hine Natan Adonai Alechem Melech Intiru et Adonai Avaretem oto, ushmatem bekolo, velo tamru et pi Adonai, inchem damatem, v'gam hamelech asher malach alechem, achar Adonai Elohechem, im lo tishmeru, v'kol Adonai, Meritem et pi Adonai, v'etai ad Adonai, v'chem u'v'avotechem, v'amata ityatzu rehu, et hadavar gadol hazeh, asher Adonai, oseh le'einechem, Alo kitzitim hayom ekra Adonai yitain kolo tu matar udeuru kiroatem rava asher asitem yenei Adonai yisholachem eleh Vayikra Shmuel el Adonai, Vayitain Adonai, Kolo Tumatar, Vayom Ahu, Vayira, Olam Ve'od, Et Adonai Ve'et Shmuel, Vayomru Olam, El Shmuel, Ipalem, Lavatecha, El Adonai, Elohecha v'yal namut, Yasafu, Al kol hatotenu ra, Yishol lanu melech, Vayomer Shemuel, Ha'am al tirau, Atem asitem, Et harazot, Asuru, Eachare, Adonai, Yavaretem, Et Adonai, Echol Vavchem, Ve'lo Tasuru. Yachare hatohu asher lo yohilu velo yatzilu kito hema kilo yitosh Adonai et amo bavur shimo havato ki oel Adonai lasot etchem golam. Aru Atad and I, Elohim melech olam, El melech azon, Adonai Baon, Abo Eresh Yeshimcha, Yeshimcha. Oh, I'm a little out of, I haven't done Haftorah in a while, let me start over again. Here we go, let's try again, 147 in the second. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Tzur kol ha'amin, Tzadik b'chol hadorot, Oel ha'ne'eman ha'omer v'yoseh, Hamdaber b'kayim, Shekol devarav emet tzedek, Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu, Ne'emanim divarecha, divarecha, Achol yashuv rekam, Yel melech ne'eman v'chaman atah, Baruch atah Adonai, El ha'ne'eman b'chol devarav.
Amen.
V'chein al Tzion ki beit chayenu, V'la luvat nefesh Hoshea, Me'erav yameinu. Baruch atah Adonai, Sameach Zion b'panecha.
Amen.
Tzadkeinu Adonai Eloheinu, Yirmiyahu hanavi avdecha, Malchut beit David mishichecha, B'mehera yavo, Yagel Ubeinu, Al Pisalo yeshev zar, V'lo yinchalu acherim et kvodo, Ki v'shem v'chad yishbata lo, Shelo yefen e'ro li'olam bo'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen David.
Amen.
Al haTorah v'al ha'avodah v'al hanbi'im li'ayom ha'shabbat hazeh, Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, Kedusha v'lenucha, Lechavod u'v'tifaret, Al ha'kol Adonai Eloheinu, Anachnu modim lach, Mevarechim otah, Yitporach shemcha, V'pi kol chai, Amid li'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch
Mekadesh Hashavat. Next is the prayer for the country and the prayer for Israel.
For the country?
A prayer for our country. Our God and God of our ancestors, we ask your blessings for our country, for its government, for its leaders and advisors, and for all who exercise just and rightful authority. Teach them insights from your Torah, that they may administer all affairs of state fairly, that peace and security, happiness and prosperity, justice and freedom may forever abide in our midst. Creator of all flesh, bless all inhabitants of our country with your spirit. May citizens of all races and creeds forge a common bond in true harmony, to banish hatred and bigotry, and to safeguard the ideals and free institutions that are the pride and glory of our country. May this land, under your providence, be an influence for good throughout the world, uniting all people in peace and freedom, helping them to fulfill the wisdom of your prophets. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they experience war anymore. And let us say,
Amen.
For the state of Israel. Avidu, Avidu, Shabbat, Shabbat, to Israel, go oh, Avidu, Avidu, Shabbat, Shabbat, to Israel, go Avidu, Shabbat, Shabbat, the rock of the Redeemer of the people of Israel. Bless the state of Israel with its promise of redemption. Judah with the alarm spread over the shelter of your peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them, crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land of peace and its inhabitants with lasting joy. And let us say, Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. What do we do next? We're gonna put the Torah back, then we're gonna do the moose down, and we're gonna sing the closing song. Then we're gonna eat cake. Which one do we have first? No, we'll do the ashtray. Okay, let's do the ashtray. No, it's fine. Yes, no, this is good. Okay. Polish each other. Yeah, all right, page 151. Ashreos bebetecha yalu pasela. Ashream shekakolo. Ashream shenayalo. Kilo litali. Last three lines on 152. Tilatanai daber pivore probastashen gachole on bohen. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, Shema Adonai. In his cup, Shema Levadu, Page 153 is more than Davi. Elakavoiri, Marunaya Mai, Rabbi, Livano the Syrian, Kimo Beremi. Oh, I don't know. Say, welcome days. Oh, I don't know. You are the one. Give on the devil. Live like our days. Oh, I don't know. We're falling. Fire has so Piaro. Ube Halo. Ilakato natati lachem, orati altazu, eskayedi, afatikilema, Page 155, here we are with Musa. Yikadal, Yikadal, Shemera,
Amen.
Adida, Hirute, Yamlich Mahachute,
Amen.
Krishna, three, the Ovirfata Shirata, Ushket Ata, and Mata, Page 156B, Orfata, Hadadaya, Eloheinu, Elohe Avotenu, Elohe Abraham, Elohe Yitzchak, Elohe Yaakov, Elohe Sarah, Elohe Rivka, Elohe Leah, Elohe Rachel, El Hagadol, Agibor Hadoga, El Elyon, El Chazarim Tovim, Mekane Yaakov, Zocher Chasei Yaakov, Mevi Goel and Meganehem, Eman Shemo Diapa, Melech Oseo Pokim Moshiach Umokim, Baruch Atah Adonai, Pokim Abraham, Upokei Sarah, Atagi Borel Adonai, Nemayim Eitim Atorah Loshia, Morigatal, Echal Chaim, Echesek, Yechayim Eitim Erachim, Tomech Noflim, Erotech Haolim, Umati Asurim, Umechayim, Emunato, L'Shem Yachal, V'kamocha Adonai, U'midon U'asiam Yeshua, and Amonato Chayot Meitim, Baruch Atah Adonai, Lechaye Amen. 157. Naritzacha v'nafisha kisotzia startei kodesh ma'atishin shilcha kodesh kachatu ayad b'yecha v'karazel v'mirah Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Isharta Sholim Zeh, Amen. Come to Godo, Yumatam Baruch Domeru, Yadamim Bambam, Umuitem Rahamim, Yacharanu Yachadim Shimo, Erlo Kebachoyim Tamid, Amayim Biava, Shema, Shema, Shaded, 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 oh, ooh, Yashmienu, Erahamba, shaded, 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 the Eneko, the Otachem Elohim, Yadonai Elohim, Great Baka to blame more. Oh, Elohim, Etzion, the Lord, hallelujah. Avadana Gigaruna, Ulesa, and Sahindu Shapana Fish, which is Elohim, leave me alone with Shayla Boe, Yelmelakadaka Shata, Baru, Atana, continuing silently, 158, 161, after which you may be seated. If you haven't yet finished the Amidah, please continue. And we're on page 181 for the full Kaddish. Yitra v'garashan le'vaham, yom adi v'rach nirutze v'em le'achmachute, v'chayit onev me'onev v'chayit of all Beit Yisrael, avarav v'man kavivim ru amen, v'yishnei v'avam v'onev, v'yom Before Shabbat, before Vitrumam Yinase, the Darby Talabit Alosh, Nere Kurishab, Elav and Pavachata, Vishurata, Vishpata, and Akamata, Dameran de Amavim, Amen. About Sloton, Buton, the highest rock of the Vishmaya, Imru, Amen. Ishalam Rabba, Minshamaya, Haimalan, the highest rock, Imru, Amen. O say Shalom, the Roman. Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, V'Yavol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu, V'Yavol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Yavol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Yavol Yisrael, Yavol Yisrael. Imru on 182. Oh, that's the whole thing. That was for you.
No doubt,
One is Scottish on page 184, and Beth and I have your side for our niece, Jill Levy Morris. Get the dog, get the dog.
I allow this mind to really be one. Yipara, Yishava, Yipara, Yitrama, Yinase, Yitadar, Yitala, Yitala, Krishna, Riku, Neva, Yipal, Yirpata, Shirata, Nushpata, Nakamata, Tamiradiam, Hey, Shama, Ram, Mishimaya, the Kaya, Paul Israel, Nibuane,
Amen.
Moses, Shalom,
Yes.
Maybe be on place.
Amen.
You may be seated. I would like to call upon our temple president. Just one quick announcement to go to the order. I especially wanted to commend Paul Klein, who is a rabbi in training, and he's doing. Well done.
I can't say enough about Paul Klein myself. Good Shabbos, everyone. I want to tell you about something that happened to Temple Shalom last week. After our very beautiful service, which was wonderful, I had a bit of a shock because our wonderful cantor Javier told us that he had accepted a position at another synagogue. It's a good thing for him and for his very young family. But at the moment, here we were with no cantor for high holidays. I came home and got in touch with a friend who is a cantor, who I know very well for 5 years. And I said, Cantor Anita, can you help me? We don't have a cousin for high holidays. And guess what her answer was?
She's available.
She said, Rita, you're my angel, and I'll be yours. If you want me, I'm available. Now, besides the fact that we are getting a cantor with the sweetest voice possible, who sings a cappella, her voice is so sweet, as is her personality. Besides all that, we're under some kind of wonderful heavenly protection here at Temple Shalom, because everything was arranged so that we would not be frightened, worried, or without a present for high holidays. And that expresses our beautiful synagogue in every way possible. And I want to let you know something else. And those of you who are at home, hello, I didn't say hi to you at first, but I'm so excited. Everything that happened this week following our contact with Cantor Anita, our wonderful executive board and big board approving that we would have her with us. There were other things that went spectacularly for Temple along the way. And I really believe, as I always have believed, in the shares. And with that knowledge, and with the sweetness and brightness of our congregation, we can wish Cantor Javier everything good for him, for his family, for little Galia, who will have her daddy closer to home and able to manage her school life, her JCC life, everything better. And we can at the same time wishing him well and saying goodbye, which actually won't happen until the end of July. We can welcome Cantor Anita in. Our first female cantor, although there was someone who was singing many years ago, but our first female cantor at Temple Shalom. So I hope you'll be as thrilled as I am, and you'll get to meet her next Saturday. She is coming in to meet all of you, for you to hear her beautiful voice, and for all of us to welcome her into our temple life. So those of you at home too, come next Saturday. We're gonna have a special kiddush as well. So I want to leave you with this wonderful, wonderful news for everyone involved. For Cantor Javier, for Cantor Anita, and for all of us at Temple Shalom. So is this a good Shabbos? You bet your books. Good Shabbos, everyone.
Rita, you don't look at it for yourself. Please, we know it's your doing, and I want you to know that certainly we're appreciative of it.
Thank you so much. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rita. All right, page 187. Temple Shalom, where we're not afraid to innovate, but we do like the traditional stuff. So we're going to pull back on the traditional stuff. Adon Olam Hashem. There's a rainbow, you see the wrong. The God saw the so cold. On some beyond hungry, it blows hard. Live on, you know, and home run. It's in far off. Being shady. I'm Shiloh, I'm Bira, Eli Rashid, Eli Taki, Hello, hours, have me strong. You wait, I golly, that's over every being sorrow. You need see, no sleep. In our go see, beyond that God. Beyond you, Akiru, the Esisha, the Ahira, the Ruchi, the Viroti, I will not believe, guys, the Kiddush, let's see, Rima, Sodam, Rule Parts on an eye, Elohim, Melech Olam, Wonderful, Malcolm. I feel the bread coming forth from the earth when you said that. Well, I can't count the old man, so. Okay, I suspect that the challah will predate your arrival in the social hall, so let's do the closing benediction. Yivarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, and the Lord bless you and keep you. Your ear Adonai p'navelecha v'yifunecha, and the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yisad Adonai p'navelecha, yasim l'cha shalom. Lord turn his face unto you and grant you peace. Amen. Shabbat shalom. Hey, Shabbat shalom. Hey, Shabbat shalom. Shalom. Shabbat shalom. Hey, Shabbat shalom. Hey, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.